Hi friends, it's Miss Kim from the Evanston Public Library, and today, in honor of our Reading Colors Your World summer reading theme, we're going to cook some rainbow food. Cook is sort of a loose term for what we're doing today. These are super easy recipes and you don't even have to turn on your stove or your oven to do them. So we're going to make some fudge and we're going to make some fruit kebabs. I'm very excited. So why don't you join me at my other camera and we'll get started. So the first thing today we're going to make is fudge. Normally you'd use a whole bag of chips and a whole can of sweetened condensed milk to make a regular chocolate fudge. We're making it rainbow, so we're also going to use some food coloring. And we're going to measure this out and do 6 individual layers, so it's much smaller amounts. You will end up using the whole can of milk, just in smaller increments. So the first thing we're going to do is take our 8-inch baking pan and we're going to line this with foil. This is going to help you pull the fudge out once it is cooled. So it doesn't have to be exact. I'm sorry, I know fudge or foil is really loud. We're going to fold this to fit inside our pan. I like to do this by flipping my pan over. And then folding it so that it hits this crease in the middle so you don't get weird bits on the edge. Because it's basically a sling, so it doesn't have to be exact. So there we go. Flip our pan back over. And I'll put this side on the bottom so that we get a nice smooth bottom to our fudge. And then just wrap it around the edges so that it stays in place. And we're going to set this aside until we're ready to put our first layer in. So grab a bowl and we're going to measure out 1/2 cup of our chips. You're going to do this for every single layer you have. So there's a cup. We're going to open this milk here. And since we're taking a 14-ounce can and dividing it into 6, it's going to be 3 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of the milk. Out of the way. I'm just going to leave that on there because I can use that. I'm going to let it drain. So I'm going to put an evaporated, sweetened condensed milk is super, super sticky. So you're probably going to need some assistance with this, just because otherwise it will go literally everywhere and it will stick to everything. So that's 2. Oops, see? Dripping already. And that's 3. And then here's my teaspoon. So I need 1 teaspoon. Now we're going to throw this in the microwave for about 30 seconds, just until it melts. While that melts, we're going to make our purple layer first. So I'm going to get out my red and my blue food coloring. Get that out of the way. Get a towel to clean up my spilled milk, because I don't want it to get sticky and you never know where that stuff will end up. Open my food coloring. And here we go. I'm going to stir that in, that milk and that chocolate together until it melts really nice. You may need to put it in for another few seconds if you can't get it nice and smooth. There we go. The bowl heats up in the microwave too, so that helps. So to make purple, You're going to use 4 drops of red and 4 drops of blue. So be careful. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you want to be careful anyway because it's food coloring. It could stain your clothes, so aprons are always a good idea here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to stir that together. Oh, that's a fun purple. Look at that. And it makes a nice big batch of this too. So you can package it up in pretty wrappers and give it to friends. You want to make sure you get that all nice and mixed together. All that food coloring all the way through. And then we're going to spread this in the bottom of our pan. It's going to be a thin layer, so don't worry about that. Spread that out into the corners here. Oops, knocked my food coloring over. Don't want that to go all over the place. You want to work quickly with this layer because you don't want it to solidify before you have a chance to spread it all the way through your pan. Because you want all your layers to be in all your fudge. There we go. There you go. So now we're going to put this in the refrigerator while we do the next layer because we want this to cool and set before we put the next layer on top. Just run this over here, and we're going to do that in between each of our layers. So what I'm going to do, because you don't want to mix your colors, is I'm going to get a clean bowl to mix the next one. So I only have 3. So we're going to take a break in the middle, wash up our bowls and spoons real quick, and then reuse them. So let's mix batch number 2. Another bowl, another ½ cup of our morsels here. Another 3 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon of our milk. We microwave this for another 30 seconds. This time, we don't need the red because we're making our blue layer. So just to be safe, I'm going to cap the red and put it over to the side. And here we go. Stir that up. Melt that chocolate into the milk. It's a good way to melt chocolate anyway. Put a little bit of cream. I usually use heavy cream if I'm melting chocolate. You could use half and half. You could even use whole milk. I don't know that I would go down as far as a skim milk because it's chocolate. Why would you bother with skim milk at that point? All right, and now since it's just blue, we're going to do 8 drops this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, that's a nice blue. I like that. Real pretty with our purple. All right, let's get our purple out of the fridge and repeat the spreading. Should be pretty cool by now. If you're careful, I think it should spread well. You can always wait longer in between layers if you wanted to. Just to make sure it doesn't get weird when you're spreading it. And in fact, I think I might let mine sit a little while here before I put the green layer on. Just to be on the safe side. Because you don't want to mix your colors. You want your rainbow to stay individual layers. Here I can see my purple mixing into my blue over here in the corner. And if you were going to give this as a gift or serve it at a party, you could always cut off any edges that got a little swirly. Like this corner right here is a bit swirly. And only serve with the part that looks nice. And you could eat the rest. Oh yeah, see, totally swirly right there. Yeah, so I'm gonna let this sit in the fridge for a bit longer than I did last time, just to make sure this is totally chilled. I may even pop it in the freezer. I'll put it in the fridge, just to make sure this is totally cooled before I put the green layer on. So actually, I will take this opportunity now to clean up some of my bowls. So now we'll move on to the green layer. And the funny thing about most food coloring packages is they come with red, blue, yellow, and green. Turn that around so you can see that. They don't come with yellow and purple, so you have to mix those, but they give you green, so you don't have to mix that one. So I'm not sure why that works. We'll put this in the fridge and let it firm up. So while our fudge cools completely in the fridge, about an hour or so, you can test it if you're anxious to eat it like I am. We're gonna make rainbow fruit skewers with a really tasty, healthy dip for them. So we're gonna start with the dip. I'm gonna let that chill in the fridge while we assemble our skewers. So here we go. So I've got all my fruit, but first we're gonna make our dip. So I'm gonna use container of Greek yogurt. Get a spoon here. I'm just going to dump that all in my bowl. Now, while there's a little bit of measuring to this, it's really about taste. And you want it to taste good to you. So it's the really fun part of being a cook or a chef is you get to taste all the food. So I've got all my yogurt in here. Now I'm going to put in, for a little extra sweetness, because it's going with this fruit, about a teaspoon of honey. Put in a tiny, tiny splash of vanilla because I got plain yogurt. You could probably skip that step if you started with vanilla yogurt, but it wouldn't be as healthy for you. And then just a tiny little splash. I'm going to do like a half a teaspoon of orange juice just for a little acidity. See how precisely I measured that. My orange juice lid doesn't want to go back on. And then you're just going to stir that all together. There's lots of good dip recipes out on the internet if you wanted to find something a little more challenging. There's ones with cream cheese, and there's ones with pudding, and there's ones with marshmallow fluff. But I wanted something, since it's fruit, a little healthier. Now, you get a separate spoon because when you're tasting, you only use your tasting spoon once. And I'm going to taste this in case I need to stir it. And a little bit more honey in there, I think. Just a tiny bit. Need a little bit sweeter, I think. That Greek yogurt has a powerful flavor to it. I just want it to be a little bit sweeter. Brush the tasting spoon, like I said. Yeah, I think that's good. So there we've got our dip all stirred together. We're going to let this chill in the fridge while we put our skewers together. Skewers. So I just got these nice little bamboo skewers, and I'm going to get a plate here that I'm going to put this on as I'm working. So when you're making rainbow fruit skewers, you want rainbow fruit. So I've got some strawberries here for my red. I've got some cantaloupe for my orange. I've got pineapple for yellow. These beautiful green grapes. Blueberries. Since there's not really a purple fruit. I mean, there's purple grapes, but I'm using green grapes. I'm going to use blackberries for my final one. Now you could go with kiwis if you wanted to. There's lots of other fruits that fit these colors. There's melons, there's kiwis. I'm not a huge fan of kiwis, so I went with the green grapes. So I'm using blackberries. You could go with purple grapes and pick something else for your green. So I'm going to grab some skewers here, open up all my fruit. Because you want it all easily accessible. Anything that needs to be washed should be washed ahead of time. I prepped all my fruit already, so I'm ready to go. And then it's super, super simple. You start with the bottom, just like we did with the fudge. So you're going to start with your purple, which in my case is the blackberries here. And I always like to do 2 blueberries because they're so tiny. So we'll do 2 blueberries on here. And then we need a green grape. And then we need a piece of melon here. And you should always wash your hands when you cook, but you should especially wash your hands when you're doing fruit kebabs before you start messing with your fruit. Take out a nice strawberry there. And there we've got a beautiful rainbow skewer. Put this over here on our plate. Do a few more. Look at that. How beautiful is that? So now I'm going to get my dip out of the fridge. Put that on your plate and you've got a lovely rainbow of skewers with your delicious, healthy dip. How gorgeous is that? So I've let my fudge chill in the refrigerator for several hours. It's nice and firm now. So this is where we're going to take it out. You can even see all the great colors going on here. We're going to take it out and cut it up and see what it looks like. So this is where these handles are going to come in. We're going to use those to gently lift our fudge. Let it sit long enough. It may take a little bit of pulling to get it going. There we go. Just be gentle with it. You could also take a knife and gently loosen the edges. If you wanted to prevent this, you could also do a second piece of foil that went this way, and so you'd have handles off both sides, but that's entirely up to you. There we go. Now flip it over and peel off my foil. There we go. Now we've got our lovely fudge. Cut a slice here. And look at that beautiful rainbow of fudge. Now, if you wanted thicker layers, you could use a deeper, smaller pan, say a bread pan. Because if you used a pan that was, say, halfway, then you'd have more fudge in one spot. So a bread pan would work nicely because then you'd have a deeper layer of each of the fudges. But I think this looks lovely. And in fact, I'm going to a party later today. I think I may bring some of this. You can always trim off the edges because the edges look kind of raggedy. You could trim off the edges and make it really beautiful. So that is our rainbow fudge. I'm going to taste some of this real quick. It's a beautiful little rainbow edge. That's really good fudge. It's nice and soft. Good flavor. I like that a lot. So happy rainbow cooking. Hope you join us for our summer reading program, Reading Colors Your World. And you can color your own world and your taste buds by making some of these delicious rainbow foods. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.